So welcome everyone tonight. This is our regular meeting, August the 9th. It is being live streamed electronically. And so I want to welcome our public who is with us tonight and online, and our staff and all of council. So I'll open the meeting by having a moment of silence, please. Thank you, everyone. Have our first motion that was moved by Councillor Carroll and second by Councillor Jennings, that the regular meeting of council agenda dated August the 9th, 2022 be approved as amended. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And also I want to remind all of council that if you have any disclosure of interest, you can declare it now or anytime during the meeting. And our next motion was moved by Councillor Jennings and second by Councillor Straight, that the minutes of the regular meeting of council on June the 21st, 2022, and the minutes of the special meeting of council held on July the 11th, 2022, be approved as circulated. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Do we have any business arising from those minutes? Okay, seeing none, then we're going to go straight into our first delegation. And our first delegation is from the town of Smith Falls. We have Amanda Foster here, who is going to be talking to us about the library and giving us an update. So Amanda, welcome to our meeting. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know what? You knew yours there.
So I thought people hear me okay with it.
Yeah, they'll be able to hear you.
Okay. So I thought I'd start by going over a few changes we've made in the last little while. So this one, the first one's really quite new, is as of the beginning of July, we have new hours. So now we're open Monday and Tuesday, 10 to 5, Wednesday and Thursday, 12 to 7, and Saturday, 10 to 5. So basically, we're having more morning hours, less evening, and that reflects recent usage. And also, we did a survey recently, and a lot of people are asking for more hours. So that's been going well. Overall, everyone's, well, not everyone, one person apparently isn't happy, but everyone but one person is very happy with the new hours.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so it's been working out well. Not too much confusion. The occasional person gets confused, but I mean, people always occasionally just try to open the door and just see if we're open or not. So that's not that new. We have some new digital resources the last year or so. Hoopla, which I quite like, and I describe it sort of as a combination of Netflix and Libby, but Libby where you don't have wait time, so everything that's on there you can just borrow immediately, and it also has some music, so it's kind of a bit of everything, and you don't have to wait, and you can use it 10 times a month. So that's quite interesting. If you haven't checked that out, it's definitely worth checking out. And we have Mango Languages, which I believe has over 70 languages, and it's the normal ones like French, German, Spanish, but you can also learn Pirate. So if anyone wants to learn Pirate, that is the place. And another new database we have is Hello Go. So it's a database for young children, and that was an area we're kind of lacking. So there's different modules, and it's not used as much, but it's a good resource. We've also been working on updating our physical collection. So basically getting rid of a lot of like gross outdated books, replacing, a lot of new copies of classics and a lot of, new books in general. Expanded programming. We've been doing really well. Most of our summer programming for children now is all booked up. So, it's been very successful. We're fine free. During the pandemic, it was kind of unofficial, but officially we're fine free. So, you don't have to, worry too much if your book's a bit late. Like, eventually we expect them back. Eventually you will be billed. You can't keep them forever, but if you're a few days late, not a big deal. It won't cost you anything. And we also have a new library card that's just for children. It was actually designed by a child, and it's, quite colorful. And we also have a sign that kids can get their picture taken in front of for their first library card. So that's kind of fun. And then future plans. So we're hoping to update the physical spaces. Of course, I'm sure you've heard the children's area upstairs. That's been a long standing potential project to make that accessible. But we'd also like to end up having a public meeting room in the basement and a teen area and a few other things downstairs, just to, make the space more usable, continue to improve the collection. Hopefully over the next few years, increase the hours. So, we'd like to have the library open every morning. It'd be great if we could be open Sunday afternoons, but I think, budgetarily that'll take some time. I think we're going to have to look into a new approach to hiring summer students, just because we've been really reliant on grants. And the problem with that is by the time you get the grant, often there's no students left these days. So this year we had one summer position that we just could not fill. Last year, the same thing happened. So the plan is going to be more to do some early hiring and then use grants more. Hey, if we get them, they're extra, but try to find at least a couple core students that we can hire in, let's say, February, and make sure we have people instead of this mad scramble to see if we can find anybody. So yeah, that definitely is effective programming. We could have had a lot more had we been able to find another student this summer, and literally there just wasn't anybody. And I know it's kind of been a common issue for other places as well. So we're hoping to combat it by, getting at it early. And another thing is we're working on updating the strategic plan. We did have a session at the end of May with staff and board members, and we, got a good start on it. So we hope to have that finalized this fall. So we're trying to, get a better idea of the usage of the library of Montague residents, because right now we don't actually know for sure. But our recent survey, 8.3% of respondents said they resided in Montague. The summer reading program, and the numbers went up since then, but as of this, 7 of 58 children were from Montague, so that's 12.07%. At least 2 participants in our summer tutoring program were from Montague. We've also been creating a new user group in our ILS, which is basically the system where you sign books in and out of, where we'll have a category for Montague residents, but that's going to take a while to know what we're dealing with, because we're only updating that as people renew their cards. But hopefully in the future we'll have a better idea. But Montague usage is not insignificant, that's for sure. And then finally, in terms of funding, I'm comparing the current with 1984, and the reason for 1984 is that was the year our agreement was signed. And I think that's something, in the future we really do need to work at updating, just because it's very vague. There's no like formula for funding or anything. It's just basically says, Montague will give what you can, kind of thing. So it'd be nice to have an actual amount. And anyway, a lot has changed since 1984. Back in 1984, the province actually gave a fairly high percentage of funding, and now they hardly give anything. I'm not sure how aware you are of the provincial funding, but it's been the same since the 90s. So each year it becomes, less and less percentage wise. And the town of Smith Falls is paying, more and more of the cost. And like, we understand that as a contracting municipality, Montague obviously isn't going to contribute at the same level as Smith Falls. But, the discrepancy has just widened over time, and the contribution from Montague has, not changed a whole lot in the last decade. So I think, we probably, if we want to continue adding things and, improving, we are going to need more money going forward. And I know this isn't the time anyone's going to be making decisions, but just, for the future, that is definitely something that, we're probably going to be asking for. Because, everything gets more expensive and yeah, the contribution of Montague is less than, 3% of the budget. And the usage is probably, from what we've seen, in the 8 to 12% of people using the library from Montague. So there is a disconnect there. And then just finally, if anyone has any questions or comments.
Thank you, Amanda, for that. Any questions from council? Karen, please.
So in reference to your upgrades that you're hoping to do in the future, have you had any success in past grant applications?
Not in grant applications. We do have the project that's planned for upstairs funded about 2/3 of the way in terms of money we have set aside. And then the town council of Smith Falls seems, again, things could change, but it seems like they're likely to fund it. Like the finance department of the town was directed to incorporate that into next year's budget. So we'll see what happens, but I think there's a good chance of that being funded. We are a good chunk of the way there. It's about a $1.2 million project, and we've got, I believe, about 840,000 set aside for it in the bank. So we're not too far off, and we may do a bit of fundraising too. So I think that's, we're pretty close.
Yes.
That's thank you. I mean, I appreciate the funding side of it too as well. I've often felt that we get a good deal sometimes from the library too as well. So I do appreciate that. And that'll be something obviously that we can discuss in the budgets and going forward. The other side too as well is we were looking at ideas from last year and we'd like to maybe even do it the next year, maybe put that bug in the ear of something out in Rosedale Hall with the with a partnership with the library, a tutoring program of some kind, or and looking at our donation side of it too as well. And that's where I would come from anyways. And I'd be very in favor and for something along those lines of working in partnership. That also that might help grow and get a really good idea too as well of the numbers that Montague has, because if we're going to know, we would have it as Montague kids, and we can get a really good idea too as well of how many would be utilizing that, and then can also correspond to the library. So I don't know if you have any thoughts of that, or if that's something that we can work towards.
No, I like that idea, and I think it would be really good in that the tutors could actually bring resources with them. Maybe we could have it that they could actually sign out books there, that kind of thing. I guess the thing is, an early decision on that would be good, just because the hiring of students has been really challenging the last 2 years. So if that continues, it'd be good to know, hey, we want to go for it. Here's the money in January or February instead of saying it in May or June. I think that's probably what would make it feasible, is early notification.
And that's fair follow-up for you, if you don't mind.
No,
I just say, I believe we put out our donation request usually at the end of the year for a budgetary year.
We need them for the
October,
end of November.
I know November. So there would be lots of time when that comes through that you would know before January if that was something that we had, that the council had approved. Anyways, I'm in favor of that. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm in favor of that. And I would hope that if you put something forward like that, we can maybe work with that too as well and see.
Yes, Councilor Straight.
Yeah, thank you very much, Raven, and thank you very much for bringing all this great information to our attention. And it's great to see that the library is still trudging ahead and getting some stuff done. Just based on that 8%, we're looking at a $20,000 shortfall. Is that correct to bring us up to where the usage is right now? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, I think the numbers we could work out, and it doesn't have to be exact. What I want to come up with is something like a per person formula, and then, each year maybe it's adjusted by the CPI or something, just for, we had something but in an agreement, and it just kind of, we knew what we were dealing with, and, kind of came up with it. But I don't know, my thought is, if we got to around $10 a person might be a good starting point, but I mean, that's, again, it's not really my decision.
I think we should probably, maybe just try to follow up on the presentation itself and not get into talking about the budgetary figures right now. I think we will hold that till later, I think, for our discussions, but
But I
it
think,
certainly is an important, yes, Councillor Straight.
yeah, I think it's important to understand where, at the end of the day, everybody's thoughts are, where thoughts might need to be. But, you know, to go along with Councillor Carroll had just brought up, we did bring up the idea of that, you know, having some tutoring and stuff like that done at Rosette Hall last year. It just didn't quite get gelled together at some point in time. But I think that putting the programs together and having them, you know, take place within the township at Rosedale Hall or another venue, whatever it might be within the township, I think would be a lot easier to, you know, for council to support future increased funding events.
Yeah, I didn't go into this here because this is kind of like, I think, way in the future. But I mean, if the funding was there, there are also options like having, you know, book lockers where people could pick up books within Montague, like there are libraries that do things like that. But I mean, I think that's kind of far off, but that is, you know, a possibility.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah, Claus, please.
Yeah, thanks, Reed. Thanks for the presentation. Okay, excellent. I'm looking at your section here called the future. There was some talk, I like the future idea, about the expansion. Is that off the table or what's?
So currently the expansion is to the third floor, which is mostly reconfiguring the space. Like a little bit of room would be added at the very back, like this, like, because you know how it curves at the back?
Yeah.
It would kind of be up, so there'd be some space kind of where the storage is at the back, and it'd be reconfigured, so there'd be more usable space for the public, though it would take away some storage. So that is what we're talking about. There were plans about 20 years ago to add on to the side.
Yeah.
Which I don't think the board wants to go with, and I think, you know, expense and everything else, though, I mean, on a personal level, I think, you know, more space would be even better, but I don't think it's realistic.
Well,
Right now.
you're talking about some staff rooms, children's area,
So,
clean area, public meeting rooms and so forth.
yeah.
I think you're gonna have to expand.
Well, basically what it is we've done a lot of clearing things out of the basement, you know, with weeding, getting rid of a lot of stuff that just wasn't being used. So it's possible, what it means is that the collection is gonna have some really strict limits. So like it's, you know, the collection is never gonna get bigger, it's gonna be smaller than it is now, but hopefully more current. So it is possible, but it does mean there's a really strict limit on the physical collection, because right now we're around 33,000 physical volumes. I think to make this happen, we're probably gonna be looking maybe 25,000. That would be my best guess.
For a change.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Lots of questions. You can see that there's lots of interest, and I have a couple of quick ones. I'll hopefully be fairly quick. Just wondering if you have any programs for the new immigration partnership people coming from Ukraine.
At this point, no. You know, we're definitely open to programs, but in general, we've been focusing a lot on children's programs and, you know, a little bit of adult programming, but yeah, at this point, we don't have anything. It's something, you know, definitely to keep in mind, but you know, we do have, as I said, like the space constraints with no private meeting room at this point and, you know, staff constraints. But yeah, it's something that's possible in the future.
Okay. And also, yeah, well, you kind of answered the question about, I was going to ask about new books and where you say it's a strict limit now, so it's going to get smaller. Because I was going to ask if you're taking in new old books, new used books. What are you?
No.
Yeah, because I mean more the history books, not
If it were very specific to the community, like very local history, so basically Smiths Falls, Montague,
Yeah.
and it were in really good condition, yes, we could take that kind of thing. We also have the Smiths Falls Digital Archive, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Yes, I am.
that.
Yeah.
So we do also take a lot of things and scan them and
Mm.
return them to people potentially, like we've done that with some postcards and stuff,
Mhm,
so.
mhm.
There's some of that, but yeah, and I think the thing is too, when I say like reducing the collection, we had a lot of stuff that literally, like there are science fiction books that had sat there for 15 years and no one had touched them. So what's the point in having something no one's using?
Yeah. And just my last comment is because we're talking about funding, one idea might be that that Smith Falls and Montague try to put forward like a joint resolution that goes to places, people like all of the other municipalities in Ontario, because if the province hasn't increased their funding since the 1990s, then that's something that not just Montague or Smith Falls should be, where we all should be in Ontario.
Yeah.
And what happens is like a grassroots resolution can be put forwards from Smith Falls or Montague. And then we send it out to every municipality, including all the members, the MPPs and so on. And that's how you try to get the word back out.
I mean, not to be, pessimistic, but a lot of that's being done a lot over the years. Like, that's definitely not a new idea.
No.
I mean, I had a meeting with John Jordan, right before he was elected, and discussed things like, they know, it's just,
Well, they need, we need to just remind them, I guess.
yeah.
Anyways,
That
Amanda,
happens all the time.
thanks for the presentation and for coming and all the questions. Yes, Karen, sorry.
Can you tell me your position at the library?
So I'm the CEO / chief librarian.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
Thanks, Ed.
you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So we're going to go on to our first report of the municipal officers. And the first one is going to be, yes, we've got Ms. Cote here. Thanks.
I've got the monopoly on the
Yeah.
microphone. This is the first one.
That's great.
The first one is on the delegation of authority for consent applications. Okay, and thanks, Kristen.
All right. So the report you have before you stems from an investigation into the township's processes regarding consent application approvals and the importance of documenting that delegation of authority to planning staff. That practice has basically been in effect since 2008, while not documented by bylaw. What was originally proposed in 2008 was to provide quarterly reports for planning activity, and if requested, to provide a copy of the notice of decision to members of council. What staff are proposing at this time is to supplement this list by also posting the notice of application that the Land Division Committee issues onto the township's website, together with the resulting planning report prepared by staff, until such time as a decision is issued by the Land Division Committee that would enable council to see applications received and comments issued. And as also set forth in the bylaw, we would provide a copy of that report to the applicant so that they're aware of the conditions that we are proposing to be imposed. Although that discussion will have already happened, but at least it will be in writing for them as well. So basically, this is an administrative cleanup. So if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I don't see any questions, so if not, I do have a motion here. It was moved by Councillor Straight and seconded by Deputy Vandermeer that council pass a bylaw delegating authority to the junior planner or a contract planner for the processing of consent applications. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thanks. And the next one.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Yeah, the next one is on the zoning amendment. It's a ZB 22001, and that's on the McEwen and Douglas application. So thanks.
Okay, so we had our public meeting on July the 11th to discuss the rezoning of 25 Grange Street from the light industrial to general industrial zone to permit the operation of a heavy equipment sales and rental establishment. No opposition has been received to date on this application, and staff are recommending passage of the bylaw that is attached to the report.
Any questions from council? Yes, Councilman.
Yeah, sorry, just a technicality, you said for heavy equipment for repair, sale and rental,
And rental, yes.
not, should not include repairs?
Heavy equipment, sales and rental establishment. I should have been repair and rental establishment, my apologies.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good catch, because I was going to ask the exact same
Yes,
question,
sorry,
because,
my
you know, if,
apologies.
because that really changes.
Oh,
That
you know,
changes a
sure.
lot for what the
No,
guy
it's-
wants to do.
Pardon me?
So James a lot for what he really wants to do.
For sure. No, it is for repairs and rental,
Okay,
not
good.
sales. Thank you for catching that.
Thanks, James.
Any other questions? Okay, we do have a motion here. It was moved by Councillor Straight and seconded by Deputy Vandermeer that council pass the necessary bylaw to permit zoning bylaw amendment ZB 22-001. That's the McEwen and Douglas application to rezone the subject lands located at 25 Grange Street from light industrial to general industrial. All in favor? That's carried. And the next one then will be on the Gazelle one. Thanks.
Okay, so again, that public meeting was held on July the 11th to discuss the rezoning of a lot addition parcel that is the subject of a consent application to rezone those severed lands from the rural zoning designation to limited services residential, to recognize that that parcel of land is being added on to a waterfront property that is accessed by a private road. No opposition has been received to date, and staff are recommending passage of the bylaw that is attached to this report.
Seeing no questions, this motion was moved by Deputy Vandermeer and seconded by Councillor Carroll. The council passed the necessary bylaw to permit zoning bylaw amendment ZB 22-002 Gazelle to rezone the severed lands under consent application B 21-69 from rural to limited services residential. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Following one is on the site plan control.
I think I've broken some speed since the rules get
Yeah.
going through these pretty quickly. So the report you have before you is to address the legislative requirement for all site plan approvals, regardless of their complexity, to be delegated to staff. Bill 109, the More Homes for Everyone Act, provides that as of July the 1st, 2022, and we are a little bit behind here, council no longer has the authority to approve site plans and are required to appoint staff or an agent of the municipality to do so. And staff feel it would be appropriate for this authority to be delegated to the planner and clerk administrator. The amendment to the site plan control bylaw 2014, or sorry, 3412-2014, which dealt with the delegation of authority for minor site plan approvals and was passed in 2015, should accordingly be repealed in its entirety, as it dealt with the delegation of authority for minor site plan approvals. All future site plan applications would be reviewed and approved by staff and would be brought to council solely for the purpose of passing the bylaw that authorizes its registration. Staff would welcome the opportunity to answer any questions or provide any clarification to council on provisions contained in the site plan agreements that are attached to the bylaw. But ultimately, the contents of the agreement have already been finalized at this point, with the benefit of comments received from circulated agencies where applicable and by applying township policies. There will be, as for those who have reviewed Bill 109, there will be a subsequent report coming to a future meeting that will be addressing other components of Bill 109 that will be impacting the township. So if anyone has any questions with respect to the delegation of authority portion of Bill 109, I'm happy to answer those.
I just have a general question would be how much is this going to speed things up?
Well, typically you would bring your report to committee of the whole, and they would then deal with that at the following council meeting with your report, your approved report. So that would eliminate one meeting basically. And then in the case of July, for example, where you're not having meetings, or this month we've got one meeting that's scheduled, it will eliminate some of that delay. My report that I'll be bringing to the next meeting will be discussing the rationale for implementing the financial penalties that Bill 109 has placed on municipalities for the delay in processing applications.
Mhm.
And I don't think that it's, this isn't specific to Montague. It's not saying that, you know, Montague Township takes a long time, or these specific municipalities take a long time, that everyone's painted with the same brush.
Mhm.
So the same policies apply to everyone.
Thanks. Yes, thanks. Yes, Councilor.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've had some great opportunity talking to a person to understand some of this stuff over the time, and I think that's, and really, I look forward to her report coming with what Bill 109, because
Mhm.
it's not really fixing the problems that are actually happening in our rule that's slowing it down, but it's gonna be but this is one step, but I mean, there's other steps that definitely have to be, but we.
Yes, Councilor.
Can you just
Straight.
imagine in an urban area, how many site plans that would have to be approved by council? Like, it would just be, you know, it'd be sitting here all day approving
Yeah.
site plans. To understand where we're going with it on that aspect of it. I think the biggest thing for us going forward is ensuring that our zoning is proper in place with the township, so that as rest come here, that we don't run into issues where people are, you know, surprised, or you know, if someone wants to build something next to them and there's a new site plan and it's some type of building or whatever it might be, industrial, commercial, whatever it might be. So.
But certainly, this is great, and I think, you know, it certainly is it's a more efficient way to do it, I think so. If there's no further questions, then I do have a motion here. It was moved by Councillor Carroll and seconded by Councillor Jennings, that council adopts the proposed site plan control bylaw amendment. All in favor? That's carried. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for all those, then that's great. The next one, I guess, is yours, Allison.
Thank you, Chair. So in front of you this evening is a similar request to last year. There's a Fall for Merrickville event happening within the township. And they're requesting that it be deemed municipally significant so that they can get a liquor permit through the AGCO. A little different than last year, we've actually requested a number of things from the applicant to ensure that we're meeting all of the liability from our aspect from the township. So we've asked for fire safety plans that were approved by the fire chief for ingress and egress, letter from the OPP stating that they're going to be on site and that they're going to be providing security and those type of things. Letter from the health unit, letter from county paramedics that they're going to be on site, letter from the county because it's on a county roadway, and a site plan of the event. We're still awaiting to receive the insurance certificate to name the township as additionally insured in the event that they are deemed, if there's an issue at the event and they're liable, we are covered from that aspect, because as soon as we deem it a municipally significant event, we're liable if we don't have these type of things in place. So at this time, we're recommending, because it is in October, that the council deem it municipally significant once they meet the provision of providing the insurance certificate to the satisfaction of the clerk administrator.
So one thing I thought about with the OPP contract, or the OPP being there on site, that's at the proponent's cost,
Yes,
and it's not going towards our contract.
no, that's correct.
Time-wise also, I think.
Correct.
Okay, and so any other questions then on this? The other, I guess, the other question that I had was, is this enough insurance? Like it's 5 million, right?
Yep, 5 million. So that's,
I'm not sure, the only reason I'm asking is I'm not sure that 5 million is even enough for some.
so that's common for this type of municipally significant event. A lot of municipalities actually have policies in place for this, and the applicant would actually pay a fee for us to even process this, because there is a min time to do these things, but we don't have that. But we made sure that we followed similar guidelines.
Mhm.
Yep, so we've reached out to insurance and they're fine with the 5 million. Our insurance is fine with the 5 million.
Yeah, but that's still not at any cost of ours.
No,
Okay.
no.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, okay, then I don't see any other questions. So I do have a motion here, moved by Councillor Jennings and second by Councillor Straight, that council deem the Fall for Merrickville to be municipally significant with the provision that such a certificate of insurance of comprehensive general liability insurance issued by an insurance company licensed to issue such certificate in the province of Ontario, providing for coverage for duration of the special event in the amount not less than $5 million for injuries, damages, tort claims, actions caused or resulting from the special event, and liquor liability if this is a special occasion permit, and naming the municipality as an additional insured party. I see no further questions, so all in favor? That's carried. Thank you, Allison, for that one. And that's on to the next one, which is the OPP agreement extension.
Thank you, Chair. So we have, our OPP agreement is until the end of 2022, which is fast approaching. So at this time, we've been provided a couple of options presented in this report. The option that staff is recommending at this time is to extend for 2 years. The current contract, our police service board has not indicated any issues or concerns. The cost has equalized, if not fluctuated a little lower or a little higher each year, just based on those calls for service. And with it being an election year, depending if it's a new council, sometimes it's easy to have a couple of years for people to get comfortable prior to addressing some of these issues. Again, we're open to discussion from council, but we haven't had any issues or concerns from the police service board with the current contract with the OPP.
Any further questions then? I see none. So this motion was moved by Councillor Straight, seconded by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer. That council approved the amendment to the Ontario Provincial Police Agreement that was effective January 1st, 2020 with bylaw 3781, 2019. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And having sat on the Police Services Board, I'm also one of the confident people that everything is in place. And the only thing that will be interesting is we're still waiting to see what the new model is going to be. We're still not sure whether there's going to be 7 or 8 police service boards in Lanark County or 1. I'm sure it's going to be 1, and we'll all be represented on that Lanark County board. But I mean, that's been talked about in the cards for about, well, I think when you were sitting on the police services, and it still is, and I'm not sure that it's moved forward much further, but it's going to happen, and I suspect it will be 1. But right now, we're like it was reported, we're very happy and have no concerns. So on to the next, and that's yours, Allison, also on the septic inspections.
Thank you, Chair. At the meeting of June 7th, Committee of the Whole, staff did bring a report presenting June 7th, thank you, presenting the options that had previously been brought forth to committee with an update. So at this time, I think we're live. It says live. So I apologize for anybody, we lost connection there. So I will go back to the beginning of my septic permit report. So the township staff is presenting the four options that were presented earlier to committee of the whole for septic permits inspections. So staff has met and discussed with our current alternate building official, Ms. Gallipo, and she is interested and willing to take on the septic inspections for the municipality. She is currently certified to do the inspections and does it for other municipalities outside of Lanark County. She would be this would be her main focus if approved by council. We would have admin staff to look after keeping the records and record retention for the municipality. The other options that had been presented, you will see in the report, the health unit, we did meet with the health unit, discuss kind of timeframes and what the Township of Montague has pulled on the health unit in relation to septic permits. And you do see that in the graph provided over the last 3 years of kind of where we're looking for the municipality. So the options that have previously been presented that are requests go to the County of Lanark considering offering consistent countywide solution. The municipality did send a letter. It was placed in correspondence, but was accepted as information only. It wasn't pulled for discussion. So we had internal hire of a township with a BCIN. That's the recommended solution to go with Ms. Gallipo. Along with, we do have a couple of staff members who would be interested in taking the legal and the Part 8 through the Building Code Act to get their qualifications to also be an alternate inspector, which we think would be beneficial for not only succession planning, but for also at times when there's a high maybe application time, like whenever there's a lot of applications in at once in the summer, and potentially have that succession plan. My understanding is the legal component is the hardest component to the CBO qualifications as well, that we would potentially be working towards a succession plan for our CBO as well. So that is the intent there. The third option was to do a shared agreement with another municipality, D&E. They did provide, and they have a report going, I believe, in a week or two to their council saying they don't have time to do us full time. But I believe that we would have some kind of a reciprocating to be back up until we can get somebody else certified and they can get a couple of people certified as well. The last option was to go with the RVCA, which was a 5-year commitment for the municipality. Whereas going this way, it's not a 5-year commitment. We can see how it works and functions and see the time restraints on staff, admin staff, and go from there. The recommendation would be to, and after meeting with the health unit, would be they forward us all of their forms without their logos, that we can basically for the first year take their forms on, make them our own, so that the contractors and all those people who they have worked with in the past, not a lot is changing in the first year. It's going to be a smooth transition. The health unit will be there for the first year of transition anyways to assist us and to work with us and be that kind of backup for us. So it was a good meeting. At this time, this is the recommended solution from staff, is that people can come to the municipality and get their building permits, their septic permits. They can kind of, we're a one-stop shop for those type of things to make it as convenient as possible for our ratepayers.
I've seen a few smiles, but no questions, so. Yes.
Not a question, but just a comment. I think this is an excellent approach. It's very streamlined, just like we saw earlier with the site planning, being done by staff, and it's just a lot of this is now being done by staff. It'll streamline things a lot, speed it up, one more step forward. Great work.
Seeing no further questions, then I do have a motion that was moved by Deputy Vandermeer and seconded by Councillor Carroll. The council approved the appropriate bylaw to appoint Tracy Gallipo as Deputy Chief Building Inspector official and enter into an agreement with Tracy Gallipo for the services. that council approve the appropriate bylaw to amend the fees and charges to be inclusive of septic fees and charges effective October 1st, 2022, and that council approve internal staff to take the appropriate courses to become certified to be an alternate septic inspector for Ms. Gallipo. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thanks, Alison.
So question,
Yes, sorry.
it says we're going to internal staff, but are you doing a competition?
Yeah, so I think right now we have 2 people. My recommendation would be if there's 2 people interested to go ahead and let them try and get the legal portion of it.
Both?
For one person's not interested in being a CBO, one person is just interested in being an alternate inspector for septics. So I think that in the event that our CBO retires, we would then potentially have a succession planning towards the CBO. And then the alternate would be in the event that Ms. Gallipo decides to no longer be, that we would still have an alternate on staff. They would maintain their current job and the alternate would be either after hours to do the inspections or potentially Saturdays, depending on what they would be open to.
Any other further questions? Okay, yes.
Has it been put out to all staff? So that
Yeah,
everyone's aware?
we've discussed it, and I mean, we can open that up, absolutely. I think we've all had that discussion. Some of us are also interested outside of that, or probably just for a personal level. But yeah, I can absolutely run it just like an internal posting to see who's interested.
I think so.
Yeah.
Just for fairness.
Because you know what, there may be additional people
Yeah.
who haven't stepped up. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, thanks for that. We're then going to move on to the next one. And that's F, if you're keeping track of everyone there, and that's on the Bud Development Agreement.
You're on bylaws.
Oh, sorry, yeah, sorry. Maybe it's, I'm the one that's not keeping track.
What am I missing?
So, okay, the next is the reports of the committees, and it's on the first is on the Recreation Committee minutes. I do have a motion here. It was moved by Councillor Carroll and seconded by Councillor Jennings that council approved the minutes of the Recreation Committee from the regular meeting of May the 24th, 2022, and that's a special meeting of June the 16th, 2022, and approved the recommendations contained within. Any questions on these? All in favor? Okay, and those minutes are carried. Is there any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none, then we'll move on to the next one, and that's on the public meeting, July the 22nd minutes. I do have a motion moved by Councillor Jennings and second by Councillor Straight that council approve the minutes of the public meeting of July the 11th, 2022, and approve the recommendation contained within. Any questions? All in favor? That's carried. Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none. Tonight, we have no petitions and we have lots of bylaws. And the first one is moved by Councillor Straits, second by Deputy Vandermeer, that bylaw 3922-2022 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a site plan agreement with Catherine Mary Wilkinson, the owner of property described as part of Lot 1, Concession A, Township of Montague. That's at 159 Old Orchard Road. Be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed and sealed this 9th day of August, 2022. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The next bylaw is moved by Deputy Vandermeer, second by Councillor Straight, that bylaw 3923-2022 being a bylaw to delegate authority for processing consent applications, be read a first, second, and third time, passed and signed and sealed this 9th day of August 2022. All in favor? Thank you. Next bylaw moved by Councillor Carroll and second by Councillor Jennings, that bylaw 3924/2022 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 3478-2015. That's the McCune and Douglas file, ZB 22-001. Be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed and sealed this 9th day of August 2022. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Next bylaw moved by Councillor Jennings, second by Councillor Straight, that bylaw 3925-2022 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 3478-2015. That's the Dizelle file. ZB 22002 be read first, second, and third time and passed, signed and sealed this 9th day of August 2022. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Councillor Straight, second by Deputy Vandermeer, that bylaw 3926/2022 being a bylaw to amend bylaw 3412-2014 site plan control bylaw. You read it first, second, and third time and passed, signed and sealed this 9th day of August 2022. All in favor? Thank you. Moved by Deputy Vandermeer, seconded by Councillor Carroll, that bylaw 3927-2022 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a development agreement with Harold Byron Budd, the owner of lands legally described as part of Lot 4, Concession 10, Township of Montague, County of Lanark, being parts 1 and 2 on 27R-11-721. Be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed and sealed this 9th day of August 2022. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Carroll, second by Councillor Jennings, that bylaw 3928/2022 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an amendment to the agreement effective January 1st, 2022 between the Township of Montague and the Ministry of Solicitor General for the provisions of police services. Be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed and sealed this 9th day of August 2022. All in favor? Thank you. Moved by Councillor Jennings, second by Councillor Straight, that bylaw 3929/2022 being a bylaw to appoint a deputy chief building official be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed and sealed this 9th day of August 2022. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And I guess we'll have a future chance to welcome that position. Moved by Councillor Straight and seconded by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer, that bylaw 3930/2022 being a bylaw to establish user fees and charges administered by the corporation of the Township of Montague be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed and sealed this 9th day of August 2022. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moved by Councillor Straight, seconded by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer. Oh, yeah. Thanks.
You're on a roll.
It wasn't a recording. We have no motions and notice of motions tonight, and under correspondence, action items, we have none, and we have no, I don't believe, any unfinished or other business. And before we go in camera, I would ask if we have any questions.
We're gonna recess.
Well, first, before we do that?
And we'll go to
Okay.
committee of the whole and then. we'll come
Okay,
back.
okay, we can do that then. I thought one time we might have asked
Ask
questions
questions, yeah.
before, but
Before we recess, yeah.
No, before we ask questions now.
Yeah, and then recess, not go right into camera though, that's all I was. Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, so we can ask the questions. Yeah, that's, yeah, thanks. So are there any questions from the public that you have, Haley? And then I'll go to you, Tom.
No, there's no questions.
I have none either.
Okay, and Tom, do you, thanks. Okay, so then we go back
Lead
to,
the way.
yeah. So we'll go back to our motion then. Moved by Councillor Straight and seconded by Deputy Vandermeer that council recess at, let's see. 6:66 PM. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So we'll just take a minute and then we're going to go straight into the meeting of the committee.
Do you want to drink the water or what?
Nope.
Sure. Okay.
Allison, will you get put the names for a second, the motion just
Thanks.
from one side of the table to the other?
I just go alphabetically.
Oh, okay, I just want, I did that. It's a lot easier than asking for a second or and so forth. All right, then.
Might be.
You know,
We still live?
Yeah.
Okay, so welcome everyone. We're going to go straight into our committee, the whole meeting. This is August the 9th meeting. It's being live streamed electronically. So again, welcome to any of the public that might be watching and to our staff and council. I also want to remind all of council that if you do have any disclosure of interest, you can declare it now or anytime during the meeting. And tonight we have no delegations, but lots of reports. And we've kind of handled it differently, but I think tonight we'll just go through them one at a time and ask if there are any questions. And then we have the motions. So the first one on the first report of the municipal officers is the second quarter fire report. So do we have any questions on that? Sorry, I guess before I missed one. Before that, I missed one resolution, one motion here. Moved by Councillor Carroll and seconded by Councillor Jennings that the committee of the whole agenda dated August the 9th, 2022 be approved as presented. All in favor? And that's carried. Thanks. So back to the the second quarter fire report. Do we have any questions on that? Seemed awful consistent, so that's always a good sign, I guess. So this motion then was moved by Councillor Jennings, seconded by Councillor Straight. The committee of the whole approve the second quarter fire report as information. All in favor? It's carried. And the next one is the second quarter report water. Any questions on that? All right, moved by Councillor Straight, seconded by Deputy Vandermeer that the committee of the whole approve the second quarter water report as information. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. And our public works manager is with us, Steve. Thank you. Do we have any questions, or do you want to just report this first? And
Doing a great job.
I'll let you just take over, and then maybe we'll pepper with you with lots of questions because you're here.
Yeah, just because you're here.
Yeah, it's just for information. Our public works staff has been working very hard in the past couple quarters, and they have all the maintenance stone done. Again, kudos to those guys. They work really hard, done a lot of hours to make the roads as great as they have. Couple other things throughout there. One of the big things is the noxious weeds. We did the north side of the township, and it's becoming a large problem all throughout the township. It's pretty well covered the whole right away and beyond into private property. So it's something moving forward. We'll definitely have discussions on how we're going to try and handle this noxious weed. The students, they've turned out really well. No complaints there. We've done a lot of culverts as well in the second and moving on to third quarter. We've getting going on a bunch of those as well. And then it's talking about McLaughlin and microservicing. That's all. If you've been through the township lately, it's well on its way. We're paving on Thursday. Actually, so that's good news on McLaughlin, and Rito has been completed for micro. So those are two big things to be done. Waste that is included. The quarterly kind of update on it. It's gone up or down, and same as recycling, just kind of giving a brief update on where that is. Our OSIM was completed. they're currently working on a report. It'll be for you shortly. And then large item pickup, I just put in a quick high level on how we did with that. So it ended up being a deficit of about $1,000 in comparison to years past. It actually turned out very well. A lot of very great feedback from the public. I believe there was a couple of things left behind, but our contractor worked very hard and they picked up everything that they were willing to accept. And as it says in there, there were 624 tags sold, total of 81 items and about 3 metric tons. But so, I mean, it was good service to be provided by council and for the residents. So that's great. Other than that, that's another report. Just trying to give you as much information as I can.
Yes, Councillor Straight.
Yeah, Steve, I thank you very much for the report, obviously, but I had a great opportunity. I was blown out and went to McLaughlin Road. It looks phenomenal. That's what should have been done years and years and years ago. So great job.
And I want to ditto that, but we also have to remember that, but we were able to finally make the agreement with our neighbor because it's the boundary roads that tend to get overlooked sometimes because it's a shared agreement. But thanks to everybody who was able to get that done. So that's what took it, because there was that agreement between two neighbors that should happen a lot more. Yes,
I think that, since I'm on council, I really notice, and I'm going to say this, especially since Stevens came, is the fact that what I see right now from my position, the student does his due diligence. He ensures that they do the job right. Matting's put down all those types of things that I don't think were happening quite previously. And I think that, those just adds to a lot of the value of what it is you guys are doing. And not less repeat calls, less calls for service, I'm sure, from you guys as well. But you guys are doing a really good job. And I think that we were here and we are now here. One step higher than when we were before. Great work. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Jennings.
So it's not on the report, but it's just I saw it earlier today on social media, a reminder for our residents that Saturday, September 3rd is the last day for household hazardous waste. So for the Montague residents, gather everything up and get it over there, because then it'll be closed till next May.
And I was going to ask, which noxious weed are you talking about? Because there's 6. We've got 6 noxious weeds, at least 6 in Lander County. I'm not sure whether they're all in Montague Township or not, but which one are you talking about?
It's wild parsnip.
Okay.
It's everywhere. It's
way
under control.
So, because
Weed's pretty great.
like the thing is,
Like a lot of weed out there too, so.
but the thing is, like, it's happening 2 ways, because it might be the wild parsnip on our roadway may be kind of infiltrating somebody else's property, but it's also happening the reverse. That's coming onto our property. So somewhere along the line, that's going to have to be a bit of a discussion maybe there where that's going to go.
So,
Yes,
yes, is the county out spraying now too, Steve?
Yeah, so the county, they've been very proactive for many years. So they're on to a lot of spot spraying and that. And they're doing a lot of different methods in their vegetation plan on how they're going to try and handle it. But they're still running in the same problems as the REIT has spoken about, is the private is now starting to encroach back onto the right of way. So, I mean, it's this almost never ending cycle that we're getting into. So everybody's trying to put their taps together to see how we can handle it. But it's county has kind of been the benchmark of handling it, and speaking with Mr. McCann, they're dealing with the same stuff we are. It's just
and I've spoke about that plan that here at this table, and what we call it is the integrated management plan. And the interesting thing is, this past year, we did no boom spraying. We did some spot, as you say, but we did no boom spraying. And we've come from, when we started that, I can't remember the year, and when we incorporated that integrated management plan, which meant we integrated different methods. We've gone from, like, the year we started that was probably the most controversial issue at the county level. I mean, we were basically called, this is going a long way, but on Facebook, or we were called murderers because we were spraying. It was awful. We put up with, we had hundreds of emails. But I would encourage us to continue looking at a model. I'm not saying it has to be similar, or the same, but similar, because, while they were doing that, we were also able to we got a North American award for one of the projects that we did. And it was because we were doing it because of the Noxious Weeds, but it also, we got the award because it was helping with the monarch butterfly. And that was, we got the award came from someplace way down out in California, but it was pretty amazing. But it's because our staff up there have done an amazing job, like and the students, like by planting other flowers, digging, cutting, spraying in the beginning, boom spraying, the whole gamut. But it's amazing that this year they had to do no boom spraying. And, so anyways, it's great, but this is good that we're addressing it here too.
Yes. Because I think we're also gonna see some more pushback from the residents too, as well, the public, as they start getting burned more. Because I'll be honest, like, this is my first year. I'm always outdoors. This is the first year I've ever gotten burned by those before, and I have spots on my legs now from being burned from it. So I mean, that's pretty nuts, because I mean, I've never dealt with that in my 43 years of being outside in the country, and now I've finally been affected by it. So I think we're going to see more and more people, unfortunately, getting that, and then we're gonna get the other way coming back, saying what is the plan to help continue to try to get rid of this, because it's very itchy.
Yeah, well, we have to look at it. We have to look at it here locally, for sure.
I know, well, it was animals, like your pets outside, and then having the oils, and then I know of children that got burnt and the blisters, and and that's.
It's really interesting that we're having this discussion tonight here, because just 2 days ago, I was at someone's place in, I guess they'd be Reeder Lakes, either Reeder Lakes or Elizabeth Town Kipley. No, it was Wilford Merrickville. That's where it was. And I was at this place, and I'm walking near some of that, and I said, "Oh, that's the wild parsnip." And he said, "They don't know what they're talking about." The guy came up and picked it up, started bending it all over the thing, and said, "I walk on in it every day." So, I watched him do it. So
some people aren't but they aren't affected by it. I know for poison ivy, like I can walk through
I'm
poison
not.
ivy and I can do it. I mean, yes, there is like some people are worse than others for sure. That's why I always thought I was in the Municipal too as well, but I realized I'm not. So.
So, anyways, thanks then, Steve. Yes.
The only thing that I want to say is, I think that the large item drop, like the pickup, was a great initiative this year, by the public works manager. I know that we had a lot of people that came in and just were ecstatic and excited about it because they don't have a pickup truck, they don't have a trailer, and it was a great service that they could just put it out at the end of their driveway. So I think it was definitely a great item.
So it's on our site right now, though, for people to reminding people of the deadline, right?
Yeah, so Haley is making sure to post it and put in the e-newsletter that goes out every 2 weeks as
Maybe
well.
we can use the digital if we haven't already.
Yep.
I'm sure you have, but, okay, thanks. We have a motion here moved by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer and second by Councillor Carroll that the Committee of the Whole approve the second quarter Public Works update report as information. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. The next report is the bylaw enforcement officer second quarter report bylaw. Do we have any questions on that? Seeing none, I do have a motion moved by Councillor Carroll and second by Councillor Jennings that the Committee of the Whole approve the second quarter bylaw report as information. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. The second quarter report building for the chief building officer, Mr. Hunter. Any questions on that? Seeing none, we have a motion moved by Councillor Jennings, second by Councillor Straight, that the Committee of the Whole approve the second quarter building report as information. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And this is, the next one is the second quarter planning report. Do we have any questions from council on that? And do you want to come and make another report? No? Would you like to?
I don't really think there's anything additional I can add to this.
Mhm.
It's a lot of statistics that existed prior to my starting here, so. I think that probably the biggest thing to point out is when you're looking at the comparison for second quarter stats from 2022 to 2021, the number of consents does seem like it's drastically different. But as provided in the preceding paragraph, that the number is the number of applications. It doesn't necessarily reflect the number of properties. So for example, of the 24 consent applications in the second quarter of 2021, that affected 10 properties. So there could be 3 severances off of 1 property. We would count each of those applications separately. In the second quarter of 2022, there were 9 consent applications and that affected 6 properties. So the numbers might seem significantly different, but compare 10 to 6 as opposed to 24 to 9.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Do we have any questions? Okay, thank you then. We have a motion moved by Councillor Straight and seconded by Deputy Vandermeer that the committee of the whole approve the second quarter planning report as information. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And the next one is yours, Allison, and that's on the second quarter staff overtime report.
Sure, thank you, Chair. In front of you, you will see the comparisons over previous years for the second quarter accruals. We've had a couple of staff positions, staff leave the municipality, and at that time they would have vacation or bank time paid out. It accounts for some of the additional hours that have been accrued year to date. There's no concern as far as financial implication at this time. I don't believe that there'll be an issue with budget based on the numbers.
Do you have any questions? Seeing none, I do have a motion then, moved by Deputy Vandermeer and seconded by Councillor Carroll, that the committee of the whole receive the 2022 second quarter report on staff overtime as information. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. The next one, the last one is yours also, Allison, on the second quarter budgetary control report.
Sure, thank you, Chair. Again, this is the budgetary control report to June 30th, 2022. In the report, there's a number of line items that maybe are a little outliers, and we have provided kind of comment on them. If there's any other additional questions on, I'm not going to go line item by line item here. If there's any additional questions on the budgetary control report, at this time, there's no concern from staff on projected year to date.
Any questions? Okay, seeing none, I have a motion moved by Councillor Carroll and seconded by Councillor Jennings that the committee of the whole receive the budgetary control report as of June the 30th, 2022 as information. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. My last motion is moved by Councillor. Oh, before we do that, do we have any questions from the public? Haley or Allison?
Nothing from me.
And nothing from me either.
And Tom?
No.
Okay, thank you then.
Two for two tonight.
We have a motion moved by Councillor Jennings and seconded by Councillor Straight that the committee of the whole meeting do now adjourn at
7:16.
7:16. It's hard to tell off those modern phones. 7:16. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. We're going to go straight into reconvene our next meeting in a minute.
Thanks.
Thanks.
See you tomorrow, Steve.
We should wear a sweater.
Another one, those beat on, yeah.
So we shut the door?
No, not yet.
So welcome, everyone. We're reconvening our regular meeting. So I do have motion moved by Deputy Reeve Vandermeer and second by Councillor Carroll that the council reconvene at 7:24, 7:20,
7:17.
well, 7:17. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. So we've reconvened and I have a motion. It was moved by Councillor Carroll, second by by Councillor Jennings, that this council move into closed session at 7:18 as per S-239-2 of the Municipal Act 2S 2009 in order to address one item. The first item, it was personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, more specifically clerk, administrator, acting treasurer. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And I do have the in-camera meeting here.
Haley, can you take us off live, please?
Yes, I was just about to ask. One moment.